Good morning and happy Sunday, everybody. I'm Charlotte McGinnis, and as always, thank you so much for taking the time to join me either live here on Sunday mornings or at your convenience. Anyway, either way, really appreciate you taking the time to tune in. And as always, if you feel like you'd like to share this, just push that share button, pass it along to your friends, and that would be awesome. And if not, that's okay too. So I hope you guys are enjoying the beauty of spring. I know that we've been so blessed up here in North Carolina. The flowers are blooming, the buds are coming up, everything's really looking beautiful. And I'm really grateful for that. Been out there doing some plantings and things of that nature. But that being said, sadly, a lot of people are not experiencing the beauty that we are here. And I just want to say a special prayer for all those people who are impacted by the extreme weather, be it floods, tornadoes, earthquakes. Mother Earth is rocking and rolling right now, and just send a little peace and calming and loving energy. Something I'd like to remind us of, though, is we're not separate from our Mother Earth. And so she is reflecting back to us the collective vibe, right? So all of this vibe, all of this intensity that's coming up right now is a co-creation of all of us. So if we want to see more peace, more calmness, then calm your heart. So not a part of my talk, just a little bit of a right turn there for a minute. Just want to remind you all that the prayer ministry is here for you. All you have to do is go to my website, charlottemcginnis.com, click on the icon on the homepage, and then what you can do is submit your prayer, and we'll get the prayer team on it. So good to see you this morning, Sue from Florida. Great to have you here. Nice to have everybody here. I don't know why still a lot of people don't pop up, and I don't know what makes that happen. I know people are watching because they tell me. But that being said, welcome everybody. Okay, before we begin, I just read this quote, and I think it's a good quote for us all to just remember and maybe tuck into our heart. And it is, grant me the strength to keep my heart open this week, to forgive and let go, to acknowledge my patterns of stress and release them, to be present, mindful, and kind. So give me the strength to be mindful, peaceful, present, and kind. And if we can do that, I think that that's the greatest blessing we can bring to Mother Earth and to each other. So I'm going to, one of my favorite quotes, which you've heard me refer to over the years many times, is from Shakespeare, and it's all the world's a stage, and we're the players. The men and women are the players playing our roles. And we're going to take that a little deeper today, offer some little perspectives. As I was going into this, I found some interesting things to ponder, and hopefully you'll find it helpful as well. So before we go there, though, I want to just make a few comments about these rallies yesterday. I choose to call them rallies, not protests, because I abide by the Mother Teresa mindset that when she was asked to engage in a march, a protest against the Vietnam War, her response was, I won't march against anything, but if you have a march for peace, count me in. So anytime, one of the tweaks that I would like to see made, yes, I know yesterday was a very powerful day. It was awesome to see so many people, millions, come across the world, literally, in support. I'd say for the most part, people were very peaceful, very loving, and in a heart space. And I find that so wonderful that we moved more in that direction, that it didn't have to be angry and against anybody, okay? I'm going to preach this until my last breath. Be for the change we want to see in the world. If we're against anything, we're feeding that which we don't want. So it was a beautiful day. Good morning, Laura and Pat. Great to see you. So I don't care how we try to justify it, and I'll throw my hat in there. I'm always trying to make, oh, but this is different, or, well, this is an exception, and there are no exceptions to love. Just something to think about. So great, go out there, get with big groups of people. Can you imagine? And I'd say yesterday was definitely the love movement definitely elevated, because there were millions of people coming together, some in protest, but some truly in love, choosing to heal. Most of the people, I would say. And that had to lift the vibe of the earth. But can you imagine if we continued to go out there in mass numbers, or just in our own hearts, just sending all the love that we have to that which we perceive as dark or good or bad or wrong, and just love it all, bless it all, right? That's where I am, and I hope that we can all get there, because I do have great hope for what's to come, whatever it is. And so there we go. I want to read this quote. As you know, I'm a huge Paramahansa Yogananda fan, and love his teachings, wonderful teachings. And I've always been inspired by everything he does. And I have such a connection with him. You can see the bottom half of him in the robe, orange robe behind me. I see I've cut off his head. Sorry about that, Paramahansa. But anyway, I'm very moved by just looking at that poster. So much so that it's, every time I look at it, I feel his peace. And he does say, I think as other masters, Jesus, Buddha, and others, just to be thinking of them. And I have a beautiful picture of Jesus over there as well, that when I look at that, I feel peaceful. So they're always with us. But you know what? The good news is they're here. They were here to teach us that we too are that. So how did they get there? Well, we're going to talk about that. Yogananda says, do not take life's experiences too seriously, for in reality, they are nothing but dream experiences. Play your part in life, but never forget it's only a role. So I think that's so poignant and powerful. And all the great religions and teachings talk about this world being a dream, an illusion. Even Christianity, based in the book of Genesis, it talks about in the Garden of Eden, a deep sleep falling upon Adam, and there's no reference to his ever waking up. And that dream, when he fell asleep, was when he bought into duality, separation, the lies of the serpent, right? Well, as whatever it is, I do believe, Buddhism, we're in an illusion here. The Course in Miracles talks about we've fallen asleep, and that we're dreaming a dream, that we're separate from Creator, from love, from each other. And the ego is fighting for its life, trying to make all this craziness real, and to validate the insanity that we continue to perpetuate and see, to keep us stuck. So that is the battle of good and evil, right? Because God is only love. God is the totality of oneness, peace, agape love, total love and appreciation for all things, seeing past that veil of judgment. Ego is wanting to point fingers, judge, make wrong, condemn, blah, 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 right? So we have a choice. So we're here to overcome the world, as I talk about every week. And here we are in the Easter Lenten season, moving into Easter, coming up very soon. And what is Easter all about? Easter is about the life of Jesus, his final days, his purification, 40 days in the desert, facing his demons, and then his resurrection when he literally overcame death and overcame the world. And as I said, we all are here to overcome the world, to be self-realized. But if we forget that we're just playing a role, and we take things too seriously, and that we still think we have reason to judge or separate or condemn, then we're going to be playing this role, staying on this hamster wheel for quite a while. But we can step off any time. So even though there's some triggers happening for all of us right now in the world, I mean, whether it be the weather, the threats of war, economics, politics, you name it, all of those are triggers that are opportunities for us to to be the light in the midst of the darkness. Because a lot of people are truly fearful now, understandably so. Everything that our identity, our safety is being challenged. Everything that we have held on to for identity is like ripped off at the seams, right? And even, financially, a lot of people are terrified financially. So there's a lot going on, but the soul, the truth of who we are, is changeless, formless, and eternal, and not affected by any of this. So I want to go on a little bit beyond this, but just to remind you, we're playing our part in life, as is everybody else, but remember, it's only a role. Don't take it so seriously. I love just blanked on his name, one of my favorite authors. Anyway, see, I didn't write it down, so I lost it. But parentheses and eternity. And that is literally where we are. This life in this body, in this time, is literally just a parenthesis in eternity. Yet we think it's the end all be all. So it's about recognizing that this is just part of our journey to awakening, and that we don't have to continue to perpetuate more fear. We don't have to sit here and say, oh, this has just been going on since the beginning of time, wars and da-da-da. True. And you wonder why? Because we continue to perpetuate the separation and the judgment. That's the game of life, and the way to play it is to forgive. If we want to overcome this world, we got to let go of the judgment. We got to stand in peace and in love. So it's a fact, it's true, and I don't think there's any getting around it. So delay is meaningless in eternity, but tragic in time. So what does that mean? What the heck are we thinking? Why are we staying stuck in this pain and suffering when we can just bless it all and be in bliss, right? Well, we're going to talk about that a little more. So I talked to some friends of mine from Florida last week, and they had been to a spiritual session, a channeler type person. And I guess that one of the questions that was asked to the channeler was, are there any ascended masters walking the planet today? And the answer was shocking to many in the group, because the answer, hold on to your hat, was yes, Donald Trump. Well, that was not a popular response because a lot of people don't think he's that. They think he's actually the opposite of that. And so back to all the world's a stage, and we're just playing our role. He's playing the role, a very difficult role. If you look at it a little differently, you see that, yes, he's here to really shake things up, and he's doing that. And he's actually providing us opportunity for us to show up differently, for us to go deeper than we've ever gone before. So it's really interesting. That really caught my attention when they shared that, because I'm like, wow, I wouldn't have thought that, but I'm willing to think about that. I don't want to be so closed-minded that I just want to say that, well, we're going to hell in a handbasket. But instead, I want to say, okay, you know what? He is an ascended master. Well, I was sharing that with our group on Friday, and that was one of the participants in the group, I'll say Pat, had a great response to that. She goes, well, if that's the case, wouldn't it be the same that if we were to protest against what he's doing in his play, in his act, right? And I thought about that, and I think that there's a lot of truth to that. And I think that the best way because I've been thinking about that all, what I do, I just think about these things. But I've been thinking about that this weekend, and that made a lot of sense. It was obviously prompted something, because I've been trying to process it and find reason in that. And I do believe that, yes, that I don't want to make anything or anyone wrong in anything. because I don't really know what anything is for. I'm just sharing where I'm at this week. Take what you like, leave the rest. I don't claim to have the answers. I don't, I'm trying to figure my own stuff out. But in the meantime, I do take to heart comments and pay attention and do my best to make sense of it. So where I came from that, since I went back to going back to the Mother Teresa, I want to be for peace instead of marching against something. I always, that's where my heart is. So as I moved into that thought system, like, okay, what about that? So maybe I needed to protest to counterbalance whatever. But you know what? I couldn't until I came to the reconciliation or the awareness that love is the only answer. And so coming together in love and in forgiveness, in blessing, and yes, in those huge numbers of people, great souls that came together yesterday all over the world, majority coming in love, seeking a better way. I think that's still the way. So that's, to me, where the healing can occur. And the more we can come together, or just be here now, and send love, then the more we are taking a part in the healing. So maybe, now this is where you get a little different thought about it. So, okay, the Course in Miracles, one of the practical aspects of it, and I love this, is it says, okay, yes, in truth, we never left the garden. We never left heaven. But when we bought into the lies of separation and the lies of the serpent and duality and fear and judgment, we fell asleep, and we're reinforcing this dream, believing that hate is part of it, sickness is part of it, suffering is part of it, and duality is part of it. And so we're very much more identified with the dream than we are heaven. Now, the truth is, we're here to lift the veil, and the way we lift the veil is through forgiveness, through the miracle, which is a shift in perception, meaning that I'm choosing to see the world through the eyes of forgiveness rather than the eyes of separation and judgment. And the way I do that is I ask the Holy Spirit to guide my thoughts, my actions, my feelings, just guide everything I am, Holy Spirit. So back to that. Yes, ultimately, love is the way to go. Carry those love banners, go for it. That to me is the highest. But on another thought system, the practicality, as I was saying about the Course, is that, the Holy Spirit knows exactly where we are and how we can be useful in the awakening if we just let him guide us. So maybe the Holy Spirit will say, you know what, Charlotte? Carry a sign that says blank or whatever, or do this, or maybe the action might not be perceived as what we would say fluff and loving, pink clouds, right? But rather taking a stand for something. And so the Holy Spirit will, if we tune in, and follow that guidance, we'll be led to do that which serves the higher good. But understand too that can be a slippery slope and an opportunity for the ego to say, yes, see, I'm justified in doing this. Always check in with your heart. I do know that the heart knows. And the heart knows when we're sincere, and the heart knows when we're trying to pull one over. And I'm going to leave it at that. So if we tune in to the Holy Spirit, ask for guidance, be led, bless the world. I do believe that the world's not meant to be fixed, but rather forgiven. So moving on. In the quote from William Shakespeare's play, As You Like It, specifically in the monologue from Jacques, a main character in the play, he says, all the world's a stage, and all of us, men and women, are just playing our role. Very similar to what Yogananda had said. We take this way too seriously. But it's kind of exciting when we realize that we're playing this role. Good morning. I've seen a lot of people pop in. I haven't said hi. Hi. But anyway, it's understanding that it's kind of fun to think, here we are, and we're all, doing this great drama, right? And we're playing this. I mean, you can't make this stuff up, right? I mean, what happens in the world is like, it's some big stuff. And so, we're just playing our role. And I think the highest role we can play is to say, I choose the role to be a light, whatever that is. And maybe it's to be a trigger to something or someone. Maybe that's it. But just remember that if you ask the Holy Spirit, the still small voice, to be led through this illusion of this dream of fear and separation, which basically is hell, will be led out. And it's not going to be it'll be a peaceful process. I think that when we tap into these principles and these truths and are willing to do this, the world is what it is, but I don't have to be sucked into the fear and the drama of it. I'm okay. And I just continue to be led and guided, and I know when I'm upset or angry that it has nothing to do with anything out here. It's just the universe saying, yep, still got some judgment here, some healing to do there. So it's a gift for my soul, right? So so it's like we're playing these roles, and the role we're playing is to walk each other home, holding our brother's hand, and no one is exempt. I love that image. Nobody, period. Just remember that. Where are you holding on to that? Alice Bailey made this statement years ago. And she says the entire universe is a great theater of mirrors. And isn't that great? I mean, the roles, again, the triggers, those mirrors, we think it's them. We think they're bad, they're evil, they're da-da-da-da-da-da. But really, it's a reflection of an unhealed aspect of our soul. So it's a blessing. Isn't that cool? When you can shift that perception, it just feels lighter. Oh, good. And then we can lighten up, because I believe spirituality, I always refer to Buddha, and you think of Buddha, he's a plump guy who just was always smiling. I figured Jesus smiled a lot. Yogananda was a giggler, So I think that people who are spiritually more awake or evolved tend to not take things so seriously. They're lighter because they identify at a deeper level with their eternal nature, the truth. And we're just walking this world. It's at parentheses in eternity. It's just a blip on a movie screen, but we take it for like all that, the end all, right? But it's not the end all. It's just part of the journey. So I'm going to share a few things with you about levity, lightening up. Remember that, as Alice Bailey said, the universe is a great theater of mirrors. I do agree with that. Life is a serious matter, right? I mean, if we don't take it and ourselves seriously, then no one will. Wrong. It's time to laugh at ourselves. Men and women suffer only because we take things too seriously, in which God has made for fun. It's like, that's not so fun. Well, it actually is. We got to lighten up, right? The sentiment that life should not be taken too seriously is sort of a dry, crusty sponge of a cliche, a statement that seems to have every drop of nourishing value squeezed from it after a trillion uses. But it's cliche or not, we take it too seriously. The Course in Miracles says we do take it too seriously. We forgot to laugh. Lighten up, folks. It's all going to be okay. What was the Great Marigold Hotel? The quote was, see, I shouldn't try to pull these things out because I can't remember the quote, but basically, if it's not the end, it's not the end till the lessons end, right? Something to that effect. So enjoy the journey, and so here's another great all the world's a stage, and most of us are desperately unrehearsed. And that's so true. And what does that mean to me? maybe to you as well, is that we're unrehearsed because we're coming in with all that baggage of the past, and we're just, triggered and activated by this, cross-eyed person, that person saying this, doing that, whatever. And so we're not really prepared to sort of rise above the battleground, be in a peaceful, loving place, because we haven't rehearsed. And what rehearsal is to me is practice, practice, practice. How do you get to Carnegie Hall? Practice. How do you get to heaven? Practice. Heaven and hell are states of awareness. As we lift our awareness, heaven is here now, there's no other place. And so that's the blessing. I can be in heaven just by a change of thought and attitude. But here's another one. This is Oscar Wilde, another great teacher. He says, the world is a stage, but the play is badly cast. I'll leave it at that. Yes, it is, but not really. It's not really at all. So George Carlin, he says, if the world is a stage, then where's the audience sitting? Good point. He was hilarious. I love George Carlin. So where is the audience sitting? Well, we're all part of the cast. There is no audience, I guess. Maybe the angels from above are just cheering us on, like, come on, you schmucks. You let go of that. Lighten up, and they're like, we're here to help. Just ask. Okay, I got it, though. We get into those cat fights or whatever. But no, in all truth, there is a way out. There is a way to choose peace right now. The angels and the spiritual guides and the Holy Spirit and masters are here just for the asking. We got to let go of our need to control and manipulate the illusion, thinking that that's going to make us happy. Because I think we can all say, yeah, we've done that before. Well, how did that work for you? Well, if you're if I was to guess, speaking for myself, whenever my little ego wants to control the show, it doesn't really work out that well. Spirit has a far greater plan for all of us. So I'm going to talk a little bit about here. I love Joseph Campbell. This is a little more about levity. And he says, the cleverest of all, in my opinion, is a man who calls himself a fool at least once a month. And I think that that's so true. I don't know, it's so much easier for me now to just let things roll off. I do, address situations and confront issues, but not from an attack, but just sharing and moving on. But, when I take myself so seriously, maybe you can relate, it doesn't feel that good. Just saying, right? So we got to learn to call ourselves a fool. We're just ridiculous when you think of how stupid the ego is, and how, when you look at it, and how we get sucked into the day-to-day dramas of life, and it's not real. It's not true. I want to focus on that which is true. I want to, as the Course in Miracles says, a teacher of God is generous out of self-interest. What's that mean? I've talked about this for years. That means that, might not want to forgive the situation, might think we're justified in holding on to anger, and might think that this situation is an excuse because I've failed at something or haven't lived up to whatever, and always making excuses. But the truth is that lesson, be it through a person or a situation, is again the soul's calling mirror for healing, right? So we're generous out of self-interest means in the interest of my spiritual awakening and my self-realizing, self-realization and self-healing. If I'm holding on to these grievances and judgments, and either be from the past or present, then I'm keeping myself in bondage and asleep. And, there's no justification for any of it, except what the story we continue to tell. I've said this over the years many times, but it was such a poignant message for me when I was going through my ministerial studies 30 years ago. Barbara, the woman who I was studying with, was talking about, let go of your story. And, we all have our story, and, some of it's good, gloom and doom. Oh, I was great success. Oh, I was abused, blah, 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 whatever the story is. And it's all your past, except its beauty is gone. Well, she was telling about, if you had a crappy childhood, your parents didn't pay attention to you, you didn't have pretty clothes, whatever it was, you were not taken care of as you maybe felt you should have been, make up a new story. So how about that? I love that. Make up an entirely new story. Oh yeah, I had the best life. Well, thankfully we did. We were very blessed. Wasn't perfect, but very blessed. But I know we all have our stories that, are painful and often traumatic, but, we got to stop identifying with that. So make up a story of hope and possibility. Instead of going into the gloom and doom like here today of a lot of people in fear of what could be and what seems to be happening in the world, make up a story of hope and possibility and oneness and unity. And yes, Sue, you said I went from fighting to loving and now being, and I went from fighting to loving and now being judged for being naive. Oh yeah, I can relate to that. Yes, I will say that blessing everybody, how can you bless that person or this person? Don't wear that like a badge of honor, Sue. I used to try to defend myself when people would react like, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It's not being naive, but rather being empowered. So just keep that light shining, Sue. I think that's awesome. So this is Alan Watts, who says, as we proceed through life, following our own path, birds will crap on you. He didn't say that, he said the other word. He said, birds will crap on you. Don't bother to brush it off. Getting a comedic view of your situation gives you spiritual distance. Having a sense of humor saves you. So, it's true, if the bird, that is a good analogy, and if the bird does crap on us, it's not that serious. Just brush it off and move on. So men suffer, women suffer only because we take seriously what the gods have made for fun. We forgot that this is like a movie, a drama, an act, and we're all playing the roles. And ultimately, we're here to laugh at the movie. Watch it literally like a movie from above the battleground. Just look at this and just shine your light on it, and just you don't have to go in and react and none of that. Just be joyful, be peaceful. I think that is one of the most powerful things we can do, is choose joy. So, sometimes, and I think we can relate to this, we climb out of bed in the morning and we think, I'm not going to make it. But then we laugh inside, remembering all the times we felt that way. Have you ever felt that way? You get up in the morning, oh, not another day. But you know what? We make it and we thrive, and it's another blessing and opportunity. So it's so important just to laugh at our little nuances, right? And frame our mind to mirth and merriment, which bars 1,000 harms and lengthens life. So, mirth and merriment, be joyful. That is, the joyful is a extension, an attribute of love. When we cannot take things so seriously, lighten up, focus on that. And not only does it make our present moment better, it lengthens our life. Because I don't want to go down this rabbit hole, but I've talked about this over the years as well, is emotions, toxic emotions, which are emotions of fear and judgment and condemnation. It's always of self. We think it's the other person, but they're just mirroring. But holding on to these grievances and these judgments, they become trapped emotions in our body. They're like, and they get trapped, okay? And then all of a sudden, guess what happens? We get sick. So Louise Hay's book, You Can Heal Your Life, a fabulous book from 40 some years ago, has the emotional cause of a physical manifestation. So pick that up and look at it, and it's pretty true. Anger, grief, all sorts of things are unforgiveness. There's something that corresponds with that physically that that is an opportunity, and she has great little mantras to use for forgiveness. So check it out, but remember that joy lengthens our life. Even Norman Cousins, right? Dr. Cousins, he used to tell people when they were sick, lock yourself into a room and just this when they were on VHS, get some VHS funny movies and just keep watching them, and Lucy Show and Three Stooges, whatever it is, because happy cells are healthy cells. And there is a way to release these trapped emotions. And sometimes it is our journey to be done as well. So, but we can go through all experiences in joy or pain. It's a choice. So, nonsense, meaning kidding around, wakes up the brain cells, and it helps develop a sense of humor, which is awfully important in this day and age. Humor has a tremendous place in this sordid world. It's more than just a matter of laughing. If you can see things out of whack, then you can see how things can be in whack. So a sense of humor, I think it does sort of enlighten us and gives us a better perspective on how to show up. So when we see what we're here for, the world begins to mirror our purpose in a magical way. It's almost as if we suddenly find ourselves on a stage in a play written expressively for you. So that is so true. Everything is for our best interest. And then when you see that these people are playing these roles because at some level we made a soul agreement to be here, right now, on planet Earth, to experience what we need to experience, and it's a opportunity to really ignite and escalate our awakening process. So it can be an exciting opportunity if we allow it to be that. So we have to be willing not to stay stuck in the fear. Write a new story. Forgive, forgive, forgive. Be for the change we want to see. Bless everything. Bless everybody. We don't have to perpetuate this pattern of duality and war and hatred anymore. So it's all coming up. And if we don't get it, well, I guess we're going to have to just keep treading along. And that's okay too. But, I want to be awake in the world. I want to be happy in the world. I want to be in joy. And I want to be here to be of service to for those who may not see things through the eyes of joy and love and forgiveness. I want to be able to be an example of that. And I know many of you are that to me, because I think that we're here because that's what we want to do, right? So a couple of things that I want to close with. I found, first of all, there are free men and women with the spirit of a slave, and slaves whose spirit is full of freedom. He who is true to their inner self is a free man or woman, while he whose entire life is merely a stage for what is good and beautiful in the others is a slave. So are we a slave to our life, or good morning? Are we a slave, or are we a victor in the life? I know people who have zillions of dollars, well, many millions, that are afraid. They're afraid they're going to be penniless. And I know people who have none, and they're like, yay. I know people who have physical manifestations that are challenging. Their souls are joyful. They're happy. I know people that are terrified if they get a bump on their arm or whatever. You know, life is what we make it. Are we a slave to life, or are we here to demonstrate joy and happiness and peace? So this world is a fleeting show. For man's illusion given the smiles of joy and the tears of woe. Deceitful shine, deceitful flow. There's nothing true but heaven. So yep, this world is a fleeting show. There's good, there's bad. Ultimately, there's nothing true but heaven, which is possible. It's here, it's now, it's a decision, it's a miracle. The shift in perception from fear to love, judgment to forgiveness is here and now. And there's nothing true but that. So are you going to stay in the illusion, trying to fix it, make it real, tell everyone why you have to be afraid, this world's going to hell, whatever. It is challenging, no question. It's fearful to the ego because, you know why? We're being stripped and challenged at the core of our being. And if we identify and look to the illusion for sustenance and meaning, it's pretty scary. But if you look to your soul and like, okay, oh goodness, got another opportunity to heal, to lift that veil, to be, so I can be a little more light in this world and light to myself, then it gets exciting and it's a fun game. And as a result, when we're in that vibration, because we are in a vibrational universe, you know, we're blasting out this love instead of all this gloom and doom and anger and everything we need comes to us. It's pretty amazing how that works. So go forth in love, not fear. Let go. I'll say this, like I said, for the rest of my life, which I intend to be a long life, but whatever spirit may have other plans, I don't know. But that being said, for as long as I'm here, you're going to hear me rattle that drum, beat that drum. So my last statement, and it is, each waking day is a stage dominated for good or ill, comedy, farce, or tragedy, by a dramatis persona, the self, and so it will be until the curtain drops. So every day is an opportunity. It's an act. It's a role that we're playing. So, and it will be until the curtain drops. So do we want the curtain to drop, awaken, or do we want to perpetuate this and stay in fear? It's a choice, decision, but I think I know what we all want. We want to be happy. We want to be connected. We want to be loving. And it's a decision. It's a practice. So that being said, all the world's a stage where the players look at it as an exciting time. Where's your soul calling for healing? And take that to heart. There is a way out. The Holy Spirit will always lead us there. We just have to trust the process. Okie doke. Thank you all so much for tuning in. Great to see y'all, and pass it along if you feel moved to do so. Otherwise, I'll see you next Sunday at 11:11 or sooner if God has other plans. Have a great week, everybody. Namaste. Bye-bye.